So yeah, I wanted to talk about this trial that's going on in Ohio with this physician that prescribed really high dose opiates to patients that were dying, and he's being tried for murder for multiple counts. Here's the trial if you want to look it up. So I've only found like a couple articles about this, so there's not a lot, like a ton of details. But from what I'm reading, this physician, he prescribed something like 600 micrograms of fentanyl to 1,000 micrograms of fentanyl to patients, all of whom were already dying. I think he's accused with basically murder, that these medications cause death. So there's a little bit of nuance. Stay with me. I'll just explain my thoughts about this. So there's this principle in medicine called the double effect. And it's if you do an action and it has a good effect and a bad effect, the bad effect is justified if the good effect supersedes the bad effect. So it's morally justifiable. An example of this is like doing a hysterectomy in a woman who has postpartum hemorrhage, that the patient cannot stop bleeding and she's going to die, and so you do a hysterectomy, removing the uterus, despite the fact that that woman wants a baby later, another birth. So that's the bad effect. She can't have birth again, but she's alive. That's the double effect. Well, the double effect is a patient who's in the ICU who is dying and they're approaching death. We give sedatives and medications that help that patient be comfortable. That's the point. That's the good effect. Give medication so they don't suffer. The bad effect is it may hasten their death. They may die sooner, and that is justifiable by the double effect. So, this physician, he those 600 micrograms and 1,000 micrograms is a lot of that's a lot. Um, so I can understand why this may be going to trial. Here's from my perspective, the prosecution, and again, I'm not a lawyer, but the prosecution has to prove that that physician had the intent of killing the patients, every single one of them, but that was his intent. They have to prove that that medication indeed did kill the patient and not their own disease. So they have to prove this pattern, which to me is kind of a little bit of a tall order to do. However, it's probably going to be very easy to vilify this physician in front of a jury that maybe doesn't understand these concepts. So it is up to the defense to really, really explain these things very well. I have no idea what this guy's intent was, and I will say that those doses are really high. However, all of those patients could have had really, really high tolerance, and maybe they needed that much to even give them comfort at all. Another thing the prosecution has to prove. So I'll be watching this trial. We'll see how it goes.